Hello there and welcome to a brand new lesson. This is Hard Beyond Numbers, where we learn maths the easy way. In this lesson, we are graphing inequalities on the number line. And by the end of this lesson, these are the lesson objectives you are to achieve. Without much ado, let's quickly look into it. So to start off, when we talk of solution set, what comes to mind? Since it's an inequality, there isn't just one value that satisfies our inequality. So the solution set is the set of all the values of the variable that satisfy the inequality. So for instance, if you have x is greater than 3, then the solution set, when we want to write a set, we need a curly bracket. So for the solution set, there are two ways you write it. So you bring your curly bracket and you say x is such that x is greater than 3. That is, you have put it in a set. Or you can either substitute this and then write it as x, then you bring this bar. So x is still read as x is such that s is greater than 3. So this is how we write our solution set. This is to tell you that there are many possible values. Talking of numbers that are greater than 3, we have 4, 5, 6, and it goes all the way, thousands, tens of thousands, and all that. And since we can write all together, we put them in what? This form, known as the solution set. Now, we'll be talking of number line a lot. So we'll be representing our solution set on the number line. What then is the number line? So just a quick recap of what we all know from our elementary schools. This is how the number line looks like. See, so you have 0 somewhere in the middle, that is in the middle, and then the number increases to the right and then decreases to the left. We'll be using this a lot. So we know what our solution set is, and this is just a review of the number line. Now, when we talk of open and closed circles, that is what we'll be using to represent our inequalities. So to represent our inequalities on the number line, we need an open and a closed circle, and we also need an arrow. So first of all, let's look at what these two circles mean. The first one, which is an open circle, that is, you just do something like this. Okay, it should be a circle, but don't bother about its perfection. If the circle is open, then it would either represent what? The greater than or less than. You see, that is for an open circle. So it simply means you are talking of up to, but not including. Then when we talk of the closed circle, then the closed circle is talking about what? Less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. So these are the two circles we also need to know before we can do our representation. Now that we know the circles, where then does our arrow go to? So which way does our arrow go to? The direction of the arrow is the simplest one when it comes to representing or graphing inequalities on a number line. So when you are using a greater than or equal to, you see, it's just like putting a line up here. Which direction does it point? It points to the right. So for greater than or less than, the direction is always to the right. Then when it comes to the less than or equal to, the direction is always to the left. You see? So these are the tools we need to represent inequalities on a number line. Now, let's start our representation. So in our first example here, we have to represent x is greater than 3 on a number line. x is greater than 3 on the number line. So the first thing we need is our number line. So this is going to be my number line. And since it says x is greater than 3, I'm going to include some few numbers that are less than 3. So I'm going to put -1. Then we have the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. Now it says x is greater than 3. So we take note of the 3. And that is where the circle is going to be. So we put our circle on 3. But is it going to be a closed circle or an open one? Is going to be an open one because it is greater than. Remember, we said for greater than and then less than, the circles are always open. For greater than or equal to and then less than or equal to, that is when we use our closed circles. So with that said, all I need is my open circle. And then in what direction am I pointing my arrow? So take note. Note we said for greater than and then greater than or equal to, the arrow always points right. Then for less than, then less than or equal to, the arrow always points left. So just consider the signs. You see, so for this is how the arrow is. For this is also how the arrow is. And then for this as well, this is how the arrow is. Then this also follows. So it simply means my arrow is going to point to the right. So I'm going to put that here. And this will be my representation. So x is greater than 3. After which I'll just write it beneath it. X is greater than 3. That is all. Very, very simple. Let's take some few more examples. So in this second one, we have represent x is less than or equal to 1 on the number line. So I'm going to get my number line. And then I consider. So we are talking of 1. So since it is 1, it simply means my circle is supposed to be on 1. But the question is it going to be a closed circle or an open one? It's going to be a closed one. So let me come, first of all, even I need to label my number line. So I'm going to put a 2 here. I'm going to put a 2. Then we have 1, 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and then my -6. And then we look at where we are going to put our circle. Our grid is supposed to be on what? The 1. And you also take note, it is a closed circle. So you put that here on 1. And then where is our arrow going to point? It is less than or equal to. So the arrow points to the left. So we move our arrow to the left. And this is going to be our representation. Very, very simple. Now you need to take note that you would not always just be given these inequalities to represent. You get them from actually solving inequalities and then getting your solutions. And then subsequently, you are asked to represent them on the number line. So this time around, let's actually take a question, solve, and then represent our solution on the number line. So what do we have here? We have to represent your answer to 10 minus 2x less than or equal to 4 on a number line. So this simply means we need to solve first. So we have 10 minus 2x less than or equal to 4. And how do we go about it? We'll take the 10 to the right hand side so that we have negative 2x less than or equal to 4. Then since the 10 is crossing, it becomes a negative 10. We have negative 2x less than or equal to 4 minus 10 gives us a negative 6. Now, in our previous lesson, we spoke of the golden rule. which says anytime we are multiplying or dividing both sides by a negative number, we change the inequality symbol. So that if we have 2x, that is negative 2x divided by negative 2, we will change our inequality to be negative, to be greater than or equal to, then we have our negative 6 over negative 2. Why? Because we are dividing by a negative. So that this negative 2 takes out the negative 2, and then we are left with x, which is greater than or equal to negative 6 over negative 2, then gives us a 3. So this is what we want to represent on the number line. So we need our number line, and since this is obviously going to the right hand side, and we need more of the positive numbers. So with that said, I'm not even going to include a negative, but then I'll put a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then continue with the rest. And it says x is greater than or equal to 3. So what do? I put my circle, which is a closed circle for that matter, because it is or equal to. That is, it includes 3. So I'll put my circle, which is my closed circle, on 3. And then my arrow is going to point to the right. And that is all. So representing your solution set on the number line is very, very easy, as you have seen. If there's any issue of concern, you can always let me know at the comment section. I'll leave you some exercises so you try just to test your understanding. So here are just 5 questions or 5 inequalities you have to solve and then graph them on the number line. I do hope this lesson was helpful. If there's any issue of concern, you can always let me know at the comment section. If this is your first time on this channel and you do think it will be of help to you, you can choose to subscribe if you so do wish, so that anytime I release a video, you'll be notified as well. See you in our next lesson, and bye for now.